Hey everybody, and welcome to another CRICUT craft tutorial. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Just hit that big red subscribe button. It is totally free to subscribe and a great way to help support my channel. We are on that path to 100,000, and there's going to be an amazing giveaway when I hit that 100,000. So be sure to be a member, and that way you can enter the giveaway. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys a really cool new trend that's been going around. It is tie-dyeing with spray paints. This is a really fun way to tie-dye, and it's a little bit less messy, but you'll also want to do a little bit of testing before you really commit to doing this project. But it's really, really fun, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that, and then we're going to add infusible ink to these because we're using some polyester shirts from CRICUT to make these. So you're going to need a few supplies to do this. I highly recommend something to protect your surface that you're going to spray paint on. I'm just going to use newspaper and spray paint outside, but if you have an old piece of plastic or cardboard, that will work as well. You're going to need spray paints in your color of choice. I used Rust-Oleum, but you can use any kind that you would like and any colors that you would like, any combination. You'll need a shirt. I did use some CRICUT Infusible ink shirts. These are 100% polyester. They fit a little bit small, so keep that in mind when ordering your size. You're also going to need a lint roller, infusible inks, butcher paper, and heat tape. Now, I did totally miss a step when I was doing this, and I greatly apologize for it. Thankfully, nothing happened and it was fine, but when you're doing infusible ink, it's important to remember to put butcher paper on top of your design and then also something inside your shirt to keep any ink from bleeding through. Now, thankfully, I didn't have any issues, but I did miss that step. I will mention that again further in the video that I missed it. Again, nobody is perfect and mistakes do happen. Thankfully, nothing bad happened with this mistake, but it's something to keep in mind when working with infusible ink. So let's go ahead and go outside so we can start spray painting. I'm going to do two different techniques on these shirts. So the men's large, I'm going to do the spiral technique, and then I'm just going to scrunch the women's extra, extra large. So the spiral technique, you basically just pinch the center of your shirt and twist. But when doing this, unlike with tie-dye, you're not going to use any rubber bands, and you want to keep it really, really loose because the dye doesn't soak through like it does with tie-dye. So you're going to have a lot more white on these shirts, but it's a really fun way to tie-dye. So you're just going to spiral it. You see how I spun it, and then when you get towards the very end, just tuck all of your sleeves and extra pieces inside, and I left it really, really loose. I didn't have it super tight. And then for the women's shirt, all I'm going to do is literally just toss it down onto our protected surface here. I just didn't want to get my grass all painted, and all I'm going to do is just scrunch it up, just sort of mess it up and make it like a big scrunched up pile. And it's a really fun way to do tie-dye, and it gives you a really cool effect. Now that you have them in the pattern that you want, you're going to take spray paint. You can use as many colors as you would like, but 3 tends to work really well. And I'm just going to use a yellow, a mint, and a magenta from Rust-Oleum. These are like paint and primer in one, but you can pretty much use anything that you want. And all you're going to do is shake them up, obviously, and then spray your shirt. You can go as crazy as you want with this. You can do full coverage. The more paint that you have on it, the less white you will see on your shirt. But again, remember, keep these nice and loose, or you're going to end up with very, very little color on your shirt. You can always go in and add more color, but you can't take color away. And with this tie-dye method, you can absolutely undo them and come back and add more color if you would like to once you have done it. So I'm just spraying all 3 colors on my shirt just to kind of get it started, see what I like. And the nice thing is with the spray paint, they blend a little bit together when you over them. So what you want to make sure, wear gloves while doing this because you need to flip your shirt, and if you don't wear gloves, you are going to get spray paint on your hands because the spray paint is still pretty wet. You could wait for one side to dry, but I still really recommend wearing gloves. It's important to keep the paint off your hands. It's not great for your hands. But you can see I just go in with a ton of colors, just sort of in no pattern whatsoever. I just sort of have fun. And then with the scrunchy shirt, I just flip it over and re-scrunch it a little bit. And I, again, kept it very, very loose so that you could make sure that you get paint on as much of the surface as you want. Again, you can paint it as much as you want or as little as you want with as many colors or as few colors as you want. I've seen them done lots of different ways, so there's no wrong way to do this, just like with regular tie-dye. This is a lot of fun and a great craft that you can do as a family, and you can always add a ton more colors. You can do lots of different things with the spray paint. And the other thing I really like about spray paint is that it works really, really nicely to give you some very, very vibrant colors. Now, as you see, I loosened my spiral to add some more paint inside of my spiral. It was a little too tight for my liking. Now I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit and then show you the final thing at the end where I undid them to make sure I was happy with as much paint as got on them. You can see here how much paint got on my hands, so definitely wear some gloves. I'm going to lay them out just so I can make sure I'm happy with how much paint got on them, and you can always re-scrunch and retwist if you want more paint on them, but it's a great way just to check. And the nice thing is, again, with this, you're not going to get dye everywhere and mess up your design. You can just double check them. I'm pretty happy, so we're going to move on to our next step, which is to wash and dry them like normal, and then we can go ahead and put on our Infusible ink. Do not use fabric softener when washing. We're going to add Infusible ink to these shirts because I thought it would be fun to show you guys how to kind of do this with that tie-dye and the spray paint with something really, really fun. So I'm going to use some stuff from Design Space, and then I'll use something from another spot. So the first one I want to find, there was a really funny shirt that said nope, not today, and it was a bit further down, but you can totally use any design you want. It's just up to you and what you like. But there was a really cute one that said nope, not today that I thought was kind of funny. So we'll use that one for one shirt, and then I'm going to show you guys, we'll load a design from somewhere else to do the other one. They have a ton of different designs that you can do with Infusible ink. You can do pretty much anything, but here is our Nope Not Today shirt. So I'm just going to click Customize, and it is 9 inches already, so that's pretty good size for what we want to use it for, but you can always make it a little bit bigger. I like to go about 9.5 on a women's shirt, at least for my size. So we'll do that one. Let's move that over to the side. And what we're going to do is click Upload. I'm going to upload an image and click Browse. And then what we'll do is go to our CRICUT folder, and we're going to find a design that we want to use on these shirts. Now, because I'm doing something super simple, I am just going to use one color. I'm not going to do any layering on this because there's so much color on the shirt itself. So we're just going to find something kind of funny, and there's a whole bunch of like really cute ones, and I love this one. So we're going to use the one that's Don't Be a Richard, and I think this will cut really nice with the Infusible ink as well. So go ahead and click Save. You can go ahead and insert the image. This is just to show you guys how easy this is to do it with 2 different types of designs. So one was made from Design Space, and then one for, I think I got this one on Design Bundles. I'll find it and link it below for you guys. So I'm going to expand this one and make it the right size. And I want to go about 9.5, so that's pretty good. Now, with both of these, we're going to need to make sure that we mirror them. But one quick trick that I do so that I don't forget to mirror them after I hit Make It is I flip them on my screen. So right here at the top, towards the center, is the word flip. Click on that, and you can flip it horizontal, and that basically just mirrors it on your screen, so you don't have to worry about trying to remember to mirror when you hit Make It. I tend to forget, and it's kind of a pain. Now we're going to cut these out of 2 different color Infusible inks, so I'm going to make sure that they're 2 different colors on my screen. It doesn't matter what color you choose on your screen, it only matters what color Infusible ink you choose to put on there. So I'm going to click Make It, and our Don't Be a Richard is first, and then the Nope Not Today. So what we'll do is we are going to get the machine all going. I'll show you guys how to put the Infusible ink on your mat, and then I'm going to show you guys how to choose the correct cut setting for Infusible ink. We're going to use the cardstock mat. This one is brand new, so it's super sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one to do this. So with Infusible ink, you have the ink side, which is the colored side, and then you have the back that says CRICUT Infusible ink on it. So you want to put the side that has their logo on the back. And all you're going to do is lay this face up. And the ink does look a little bit faded when you see it on the sheet, but it brightens up as you put it down onto your mat. Now I do try to make sure that my hands don't touch this too much, so I just take my plastic sheet and place it back over and then press my infusible ink down. That way my hands aren't touching the ink too much. You want to be careful of that. We'll go ahead and load this into the machine, and then I'm going to show you guys how to choose the correct cut setting for this, and we can get started. Once you have loaded your mat, I'm going to hit continue. I always tend to load mine before I do anything else. It's just habit. It doesn't really matter. You can absolutely load it and then choose your material. Just make sure that your machine is on before you hit continue so that it will select the correct machine. Now what we're going to do is go to browse all materials, and I'm just going to search INF. It should come right up. We have an infusible ink transfer sheet. That's what we need to cut this on. Now for my machine, this works just fine. I will always recommend doing a test cut anytime that you try a new material, even if it has a preset cut setting, just to make sure your machine works with that cut setting. Let's go back over to the machine so you guys can watch it cut. Now that you've cut them out, an easy way to help you weed them is to actually take and roll them the opposite way. And you don't want to like roll them real tight, but you just sort of roll it like this, and then I roll it like this, and it just helps loosen up some of those lines, and especially for these thinner lines. So I'm just going to roll those. I've done the Richard one already, but I'll show you that one real quick. So that one I just sort of did this, and I kind of rolled it this way a little bit. So that's how I do that. Next thing that we need to do is go ahead and weed these. We have two shirts. We have a men's large and then a women's extra, extra large. Like I said, these shirts fit super small. So I bought way bigger than what I thought I would need, and I'm glad that I did. So this is the women's shirt right here. I'll move this one out of the way. And again, we just did this with spray paint, so it was super fun. All we did was washed it and dried it. Didn't do anything crazy to it. These are 100% polyester. They're really heavy too. I'm not loving the heaviness of this, but that's okay. It's fine. So now we just kind of decide if we want to do the Nope Not Today or the Don't Be a Richard on this one. I kind of think the Nope Not Today on this one, only because there's not a lot of pink around where our design is going to be, because our design is going to be a couple fingers below the center there, the V. So all I'm going to do is figure out about where center is, which should be in between the P and the O in Nope, which is great because like that line is almost exactly there. I think that looks a little off, but that's okay. I'm just sort of figuring out kind of where I want it to go. I'm not going to leave it here. I just kind of want to figure out about where I think it should go. That looks pretty good. So I think that'll be a perfect one. So what you want to do before you do infusible ink is take a lint brush, any lint brush will do, and you want to run it all along where you're going to put your design, because you would be shocked at how much lint and fur and everything else sticks to your clothing that you can't even see. But it's important to get rid of that so that your infusible ink doesn't get messed up. So now that I've done that, you can see there was quite a bit on there. So we will get some heat tape. Heat tape's super important. And I use heat tape from Amazon. I'll link this heat tape below, but it's also in my Amazon store. I love this brand. It works really, really well. It doesn't leave any residue, which is the bonus to heat tape. So now what I'm going to do is, again, lay this down about where I think it should go. And I just need it a little bit over, and then I want to straighten it. All right, that looks pretty good. If you are somebody who can't eyeball this, using a tape measure or guides can really help. I am definitely an eyeballer. I don't usually get them too off if I eyeball. So all I'm going to do is cut a strip of the tape, and I'm just going to put it in the corner of the design. And I'm going to do the same thing over here in each corner. We're going to do 4 of these, 1 for each corner. So I just cut the tape and place it on the corner. And all this does is it helps hold it down, because you can see how curled up this gets. You don't want it really curly because you're not going to get it to stay in place. While the carrier sheet is pretty sticky, it doesn't love staying stuck down because it is so curly. So the heat tape really makes a big difference. What we'll do is we'll get this one heat taped on. I'll move this one to the side, or probably just put our shirt on top of this one. And then I will do our next shirt, which is the Don't Be a Richard. So this one, heat tape sticking to my finger. We'll go ahead and put this heat tape just like that. And that should hold that just fine. So now we'll move on to our men's large. This one came with a little bit less color, which I sort of love about it. I actually really like how this one came out. And it's okay to do it right on top of the other one. It's not going to do any damage. So this one, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to make sure we do a nice big space for the decal, because this is a much larger design. And you just want to make sure you get all over where your design is going to go. And again, you can get these at the Dollar Tree, which is where I get all my little lint brushes because it's great. Or you can get some of the reusable lint brushes, which are super easy to find. So this is our Don't Be a Richard. So I'm going to put about 3 fingers down from the collar and get it pretty centered, pretty even. I think that looks a little low. Nope, that looks pretty good. And then all I do is just sort of check about where center is. That looks good. And again, we're going to heat tape this one down. Now this one does have a lot more carrier sheet to hold it down with, which is great. So it is going to hold down a little bit better. And because it's a larger design, it did come uncurled a little bit more than the first one. But I still want to make sure that it doesn't move, so I'm going to use heat tape. You can use heat tape on HTV too if you have something that's not super sticky. And it's super cheap and it lasts forever. And it doesn't leave a residue on your shirt, which is really, really important. So you can't just use like random tape or transfer tape or scotch tape or masking tape. It really needs to be a heat tape. This is heat resistant. The adhesive is meant to get hot, so it's not going to leave anything goopy on your shirt. So that's something really important to note. So now that we've got these taped down, I'm going to get the heat press turned on and ready, and then we can go ahead and press them. As I mentioned in the beginning, make sure you put butcher paper on top of your design and under your design to prevent any bleeding. You'll set your heat press or your easy press to 385, and you're going to press this for about 40 seconds with a medium pressure, and it's super easy to do. I also recommend using a pressing pillow under your design. That way you make sure you get that good even pressure and heat on your design. I've let them cool completely, so we are ready to peel. So what I'm going to do is grab one of the edges. It doesn't matter where you start peeling. And I'm just going to try to get up that heat tape. If it doesn't come up, I can pick it up in a minute. And we're just going to go ahead and pull off our Infusible ink. Now keep in mind, with Infusible ink, any color that's under it is going to affect the color of your Infusible ink. But that's why I chose the colors that I did. I chose solid colors. And like I said, I chose this shirt for the blue because there was less blue under it. And I'll move this one over so you guys can see. I think this came out really, really fun. Isn't that fun? It's a little hard to see on camera, but I'll get you guys a little closer, especially here. But it is really, really fun. So let me move that one to the side. And then this is the Nope, Not Today shirt. I think this one is going to be especially fun. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. You're just going to find somewhere you can start the peel. And if you, like I said, if you can't get the heat tape up, that's fine. You can come back and do it. I'm having a heck of a time finding a spot to peel on this one. Yep, heat tape's not coming up. And we'll just pull that off. Now, I love the effect that this one has on it. So I'm going to get this heat tape off. You'll see that there's no residue from the tape. But the tape does really like to stick to the shirt, which is a good thing. But can also be kind of a pain because now I have to peel it off. But I think this came out so freaking cute. I love it, and I love the way that the paint, see, I'm having trouble. Let me peel these and I'll come right back. Okay, heat tape has been peeled, and I love how this came out. The paint under this really gave it a cool galaxy look. It looks really, really good, and I think it came out really fun. This is definitely a unique, one-of-a-kind shirt, and I think it's super fun. But again, you can see, and I'll hold this up a little closer for you guys, you can see where you can see the color from the spray paint through the Infusible ink. That's just the nature of Infusible ink because it picks up any color that's behind it because it's not like a solid piece. It actually dyes your fabric. It's sublimation ink, but it's CRICUT's version of it. So you can use any sublimation blanks or shirts that come with a high polyester count. These are the CRICUT brand, but you can absolutely use any brand you want. I have tried tons of different brands, and they all have worked really, really well. The higher the polyester count, the brighter the color you're going to receive on your shirt. These ones are full polyester. I'm not a big fan of full polyester shirts on my body. I think they're heavy and hot. But I just thought these would be really fun to do with the spray paint and with the Infusible ink. So there's our Nope Not Today. And I'll get you guys the Don't Be a Richard. So here is the Don't Be a Richard. I think this one came out really fun too. Again, you can see, and I'll hold it up, see where the D is right there in that purpley part. It really changed the color, but it looks really, really cool. The color is nice and vibrant, and it's super soft. This does not feel heavy on the shirt because it dyes the fabric of the shirt. This was a really fun project. You guys could do this with your kids, with anybody. This would be a really fun like bachelorette party idea. You guys could all get together, spray paint your shirts, and then simply put some really fun sayings on them. You could use HTV as well if you wanted, but for this one I did want to use the Infusible ink. If you guys have any questions on doing the spray paint tie-dye or working with Infusible inks, please let me know in the comments down below. Just remember that with spray paint tie-dye, because the dye does not soak into the shirt, you'll want to do a less tight type of style for your tie-dye, or you'll end up with a lot of white. I kind of, as you saw, loosened them up, spray painted them a couple different times. There's no wrong way to do the spray paint tie-dye. You can even leave the shirts straight open and just spray paint them as you wish. There's no wrong way to do it. After the spray paint has dried, I usually let it dry for about 2 hours. You can absolutely wash your shirts, wash them in cold water, no bleach, use a regular detergent. You don't have to be careful about what kind of detergent you use, but don't use fabric softener because you're going to apply something to the shirt and you don't want to have any fabric softener with that. Then just dry them regularly, and then you're ready to go ahead and apply any design that you want. I hope you guys had so much fun checking out spray paint tie-dye and Infusible ink. Have a wonderful day and happy crafting!